All right, welcome today. We're going to be talking with Anton Wiranata, and I hope I said that correctly.
That's
We're grateful that he came to the University of Utah. He's currently based in Boise, Idaho, working for HP. And I'm going to start out by asking Anton, can you tell us what you do at HP?
Hi everyone. What I'm doing right now at HP is I'm a distinguished technologist for AI ML in PS software organization within PC business. So basically, what that means is I'm kind of like supervising or overseeing AI and ML projects within PS software organization. So because distinguished technology is like L6
Level 6?
level
Yeah.
6 engineer level
Wow.
for the company. So that's what I'm doing.
That's great.
Yeah.
How many years have you been working there?
For HP is almost 7 years now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you had a time when you worked in Utah, right?
Yes, I used to work in Utah for I think 3.5 years.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Okay.
in here in Utah.
Okay, so thanks for coming back to town.
Thank you.
He's visiting the department, and we're going to just try to find out more about data science, AI, machine learning, and some of his career highlights. So I was going to ask you, it looks like your career started in physics.
Right. Yeah.
So tell us about some of the paths you took and why you decided, how you ended up where you are now.
Okay. Yeah, so that's true. I am still is a physicist. I like to think like that. I call myself a failure physicist because I don't end up becoming a physics professor or getting Nobel Prize.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay.
so basically, I have a PhD in theoretical nuclear physics. I graduated 2011 from Ohio University, and I always wanted to be a professor. Basically, I want to teach. And then I pursued that. After 3 years graduating, I did my postdoc at Berkeley, uh, also nuclear physics for 3 years, doing independent research at Berkeley. And then I went back to Ohio State for teaching, like a young professor, for 1 semester. So the switch happened around 2014, around 2015, something like that. Because when you trying to pursue this academic career, not that I'm trying to discourage this academic career, but in physics, you need to do multiple postdoc before you can apply for full-time position for professorship. So there are so many smart people doing physics there. So basically, some of my friends are still doing postdoc now, still not getting a full-time position. So around 2014 and 15, I kind of like trying to evaluate my life. So where should I go from here? Should I stick in academia? Should I switch to industry? And the closest thing to physics at that time was data science, AI and ML. So in physics we code a lot, and then we do math like every day. So all of these things transition to data science, machine learning, and AI at that time is kind of very easy transition, except like one thing that I need to relearn is Python only, because when I was doing my PhD and research, we didn't code in Python. We code in Fortran, C++, and all of those classical language. But then in data science, mostly everything is in Python or R. So those are the only thing that I need to relearn. And then lucky enough, at that time, 2014 and 15, basically there was no like formal education to be a data science needed. Like as long as you know how to code, you know how to do math. And not that I'm saying data science math is easier, but it's only metric multiplication at some level, right? So we know that in physics, like day one, we know metric multiplication, so we know how to do that. But then, so that transition was, I think I was lucky to do that transition around 2014. And then I got my first job in Utah in Provo for inside sales as a data science. So that's the moment where I did the transition, and then now it's hard to go back to physics. I never look back. So basically, the field is growing so fast and very exciting. so many things happening, especially in the last 2-3 years with generative AI. So basically, I feel very lucky to be able to make that transition that early in 2014. So that's the story. Yeah.
Yeah, you were part of the early phase,
Yeah.
early wave. And that's
Yeah.
what we always joke about, that you'll see a job description, it'll say we want 10 years of data science experience. And it didn't even exist 10 years
Yeah.
ago. Nobody has that.
Yeah,
so-
nobody. 10 years experience in generative AI.
Yeah, exactly.
It's only 3 or 2 years now.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they always want more than they can get. So
That's-
that's really good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then you talk to us a little bit about how did you make that transition? Because I think I hear that from a lot of people. How do I just start to learn Python? How do I start to learn R? Sometimes they feel like they need to take lots of classes.
Okay, yeah.
Or should they look for some kind of project? How do you do that?
I think that's a really good question, because people has different style of learning, and from my experience, so learning programming language for the sake of learning programming language is never end, because Python is always growing, right? So it's always in the thing that I always do when I learn something is doing projects.
Right.
So basically, do something, do some project, like, hey, making a prediction of like a recommendation engine. You learn that, you write that, you have a finished product at the end of the day. But you learn many things along the way. You learn how to code Python. You learn how to understand, for example, the recommendation algorithm that you do, like collaborative filtering for building that recommendation engine. So basically, a project learning base is really good for me. So some people maybe has different way of doing things. Maybe they like to learn it theoretical things first, be good at it, and then move to other things. But according to me, in this era, that kind of learning style is going to be very slow. It's not
yeah.
fast enough, because I think now you just need to learn pieces of things to be able to create something. So learn Python this much, and you of course you need to understand the basic of the Python, for example, like learning the function, methodology, class, or object kind of programming. And then after that, you learn the machine learning algorithm on how to do things. So learning project is the way that has been really, really good in my experience. So
if a student wanted to learn, they could take something interesting to them. Maybe it's football or basketball or video games, or
Right.
and just find some data, do some projects.
Do some projects, and do some projects. And I think like having some internship experience, for example, or capstone project. Basically, you have done something real, then that's really really useful in your resume or portfolio. Because, for example, if I do interview with new student or new people, according to me, it's stupid to ask you question, hey, what is random forest? Can you explain to me random forest? Some people still ask that question, but in my interview, I never ask any of my interviewee that question. I just ask them, hey, what have you done? And then explain to me what you are doing. So I know that they are really knowing what they are doing. I use this, and I ask why you are using that, why you are not using the other algorithm. So then, because I think 5% or maybe less data scientist is the one that building the actual model, but the rest is the one that using that model to solve something. And I think I belong to the rest. Like I'm not building the weight or the model itself, but I'm using the model that people already do, and I pick among all this model which one is appropriate for my use case. So in a sense, I'm looking at people. If I'm doing interview, usually, hey, what have you done? And from all of this list, I pick one or two that I will ask them and explain to me in detail why you are doing it this way, why you pick this particular model, and when you get the result, why the result is good or bad, something like that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So then you can see if they were just like a project manager or documentation person, or if they were really understanding
Exactly.
the method and,
Right,
and
right.
the
Yeah.
evaluation.
Yeah.
Because some people say they did a project, but they were just on the outside of the project.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So from their story, I get to see, for example, usually when you are building a machine learning project or AI project, you have data component, you have like a business goal component, and then you have like a evaluation component, and finally you have the deployment or production process, right? And then if you understand end to end of this thing, that is the best possible candidate that you are looking for.
Yeah.
But some of the interviewer maybe understand the data really well, but the model maybe not as good. And then many challenges right now, I think, in the production side, the deployment side. Not many people are really understanding in the deployment side. They can build model or build some application, but to bring it to real, I call it real because anything that is not in deployment is arguably is still theoretical.
Yes.
So when you put it in deployment and in production, it's real. It's a real thing. So your customer using it, your company using it, and for data scientists, I feel like having machine learning model or AI model in production is like one of the best feeling or the best achievement. Yeah, in your career.
You could see an application.
Right.
You click the button and it
Right,
works.
yeah. That's my
I'm like-
algorithm. Something
Oh,
like
that's
that.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you tell us about some projects that you've done at HP
So
or that you're working on currently?
So the first one with the printing business. So the one that I work with the classical machine learning, that one is basically printer failure predictive model. So we use printer telemetry, like their printer jam, paper jam, like ink supply, number of pages that the printer has been using, and then we can predict. So this is for big printer, like the printer that you have in the office, things like that, not the small printer. But for the big printer, you can, based on this telemetry data, you can predict when certain part of the printer will be failing. And then from the business perspective, because for example, for managed print services for HP, because HP also have managed print services, which mean, for example, the idea is like if Amazon require printing service, HP can come to Amazon and say, hey, we can provide you 100 printers and we're going to manage this printer. You just need to pay us like a month, like $1,000, something like that. But we manage all the thing that the printer need, from uptime, ink supply, all of those things. So which mean if there is a printer that is broken, you need to know ahead of time so you can send your technician and then fix the printer. What if you know ahead of time and then you know not only one printer but multiple printer in the same places that going to be broken? So then you can arrange your visit. Then you can reduce your cost of maintenance, which mean your margin, because your margin is strongly depend on the service agreement and also the cost of maintaining the device to be able to run, right? So if you are able to do predictive model, you can reduce this cost of maintenance. Then you can increase your profitability. So that's the business impact of the model that we built when we were at print. So that one is helping 100,000 of printer already in production right now since 2018. Wow. Yeah, since 2018.
So your target variable was the failure.
The failure, yeah.
And some of the independent variables were like, would it be temperature,
temperature, usage, and then like we have something called error code. Because for example, in your printer,
like warnings.
Some kind of warning. Hey, is paper jamming in this particular path and things like that. How many number of jamming happen within certain time window? Because when you do your ML model, you need to do some kind of aggregation, right? So it's from your time series data, you do it like daily, weekly, things like that, and then you create your features and then put it in some predictive model.
And then how did you deploy that?
So we use AWS so right now the printer is talking to the cloud.
Yeah.
And then we host the model in the cloud, and then we use some kind of Kubernetes service to be able to host this model, and then we just send each of the printer will send their payload daily, and then we create send a payload back from the result of the prediction for that particular printer. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's really
Yeah,
good.
that's the one that we've been working on in the printing business. Now in the PC, everything is generative AI.
Oh,
So
wow.
LLM, generative AI. So we want to build something called AI PC, and we have just launched our first AI PC in May, in May this year.
Oh, so this is not software to manage the business at HP. This is
Yeah.
software inside the
Yeah.
computers that you're
We
selling.
do both. We do both. So, but the biggest thing that we do for the customer is AI PC. So we create some kind of services for software and capability inside our PC for customer to be used.
Wow.
But also within the company, we have productivity tool, efficiency improvement using generative AI.
Oh, and your team is trying to do many projects at once.
Yes, yes. So
with generative AI. Wow.
with generative AI, so everything is possible now with AI, generative
And
AI, LLM.
Is your team grown?
Yes, it's
With
growing.
lots of funding and wow, that's
Yeah,
exciting.
It's exciting time now. The best time to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if I can switch? What if a student is about to graduate and they hear about exciting things like this, but they don't know how to get in the door at a big company, at like HP or a similar company? What could they do to try to network or create a better resume for this specific field of data science, business analytics?
Okay, that's again a really good question. The first one is just like what the first question that you're talking about, right? Doing projects. So I think you guys already have capstone project, right? That one, and then internship with businesses around in Utah, because HP also has some really good internship program. So send me over your resume for the internship, so I can forward that to the HR. And we have HP really good internship program, because once you get to internship, almost 100% converted into full time.
Wow.
Because
that's
we
really good.
we are very selective with our internship as well, and also having good interns is really good for our future. Our CEO Enrique used to be intern.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, intern at HP, and now he is the CEO of the company.
Wow.
So he started from the very low, and as you can see, he is the leader now in the company.
And
So,
I was actually an intern at HP in 2001
wow.
in Corvallis.
Wow.
So yeah, that was actually kind of a low economy, a bad time in the economy. And so I was so happy to get that internship, and then it converted to a full-time job after graduation.
You see, right? Yeah. So
Yeah,
HP really likes their intern.
Yeah,
So-
it was such a good experience. It wasn't as easy because I had to move to a different state for the internship, but I was so happy I did it.
Yeah. And I love the intern because, you know, as a full-time employee, sometimes you already have so many things on your plate that you need
Right.
to
Yeah.
execute, right? But with intern, just like, hey, I have
Just
this
one task.
one fresh idea. I have this thing. Can you guys? And they don't know the limitation. That's the best thing about them.
Oh,
They
that's
they don't know the limitation. And if you give them the task, some I have 2 patents with an intern in
Oh, wow.
2019.
patents.
Two patents.
Oh,
with
that's
an
amazing.
intern.
Wow. And
Because I
what's-
give them challenge, and I just want to know, hey, can you do it? And they came up with a solution, and I was like, wow, this is pretty
Oh, so
interesting.
you like interns? Yeah. They
Yeah.
give you actual help.
Yeah.
But I agree, they don't have all the administrative duties. They can
Yeah.
just focus on that task.
They just can focus on the problem, and then they are very creative. So because they are fresh, they have some. They are really eager to apply what they learn from school to the real business problem. So basically, you still need to guide them a little bit, but I think this motivation and then the spirit, the eagerness, is really the one that very you don't see in old employee who has been working in a company for a while, right? But with the intern, they want to prove that they can do things.
Yeah.
So usually that's really exciting to see.
Yeah, that's I've heard people say that the reason you get an internship or an intern is for the energy.
Exactly.
Because when they become an employee, their energy sometimes goes down.
That's true. That's true.
And they start to feel limited. So
That's
okay.
true. Yeah.
That's really good. And then do you feel like as you've grown in your position,
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that's unique about your position is sometimes people feel like I need to go to management or I need to go to sales or I need to go to some other place. But at HP, you're allowed to grow as an engineer, as a technician, is in a technical role.
That's true. Yeah.
And I think that's unique. Do you see that at other companies where you can have 6 levels of technical roles with increasing authority, increasing pay, but not having to do administrative stuff all the time?
Right. Yeah. I think HP is pretty good in that. There are some other company too, like I think Micron is also doing that. They have 2 paths to go up as an individual contributor or as administrative people, like become manager, senior manager, or director, and then VP. It's interesting story because I was in some point in time considering to switch to administrative, and I did my own experiment with, of course, discussing with my boss. So I did that for 3 months or 6 months or so, and I did this experiment, and I realized I'm not an administrative person. So I kind of thinking, oh, I need to stay in the IC role. I cannot do this administrative because it's easy to deal with numbers than with people, at least for me.
And then you have to trade your Python for PowerPoint.
Exactly.
So which one would you choose, Python or PowerPoint?
Yeah. So to be very honest, I did measure my heart rate.
Oh, interesting.
When I make a PowerPoint presentation and when I code, and my heart rate was very calm when I code, even when I code a very hard problem.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. So I measure that and I do some statistic comparison, and I was like, oh, I have to do this.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard of someone
measuring that heart rate. I did that experiment
or 3 months.
I feel like when you do PowerPoint, there are so many things out of your control.
Yeah.
Like you can make plan. Some people may be good at this, but I don't think I am good at it. But with coding, this is a hard problem, but it's within your control.
Right.
So you come up with a method, you can search, you can Google how many people has done it and how they are going to approach it. Everything is under your control. And I feel like the problem is there, but to get to the solution, it's all yours. It's you decide it. So I like that. I like that control capability to be able to come up with a solution. But creating PowerPoint, presenting it is so many unknown things that you cannot control. That's according to me.
And then you have the satisfaction that you solved a technical problem, deployed it, and you can see it working.
Right.
And so it's hard to reproduce that in other types of jobs.
Right. Yeah.
Where you have a finished, successful project.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. The feeling is really good. Just recently, for example, I won a hackathon within HP, and I got number 1 place.
Wow.
So that feeling is like really good.
Was that a big competition?
Yes, it's like we had 1,000 plus participants.
Oh, wow.
270 teams submitting ideas.
Wow.
For the hackathon, and I got number 1.
Oh, isn't that satisfying? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so I think this is a great job for you.
Wow. Yeah, that's why I feel like I need to stay as an IC.
And that's a special kind of company that values that person. That they don't say the only way you can advance is to become a manager or
VP or SVP.
Something in financial.
Yeah.
So
there is another level after distinguished technologist is called fellow.
Oh, fellow.
Kind of fellowship. So fellowship is like similar to VP.
Wow.
So distinguished technologist is like similar to director right now.
That's really special. Wow.
So that's the best. I think the best path for me. At least I like that. Yeah. So
now, I don't want to get too technical, but are you using RAG?
Oh yes.
Models with your? Can you tell us a little about what that looks like when you have a large language model with RAG for your specific use case?
So right now, for example, we have the tool that we are using within our organization. So this tool is some kind of Jira assistant tool. So
for project management.
for project management. So
Okay.
this is one use case. There are many actually. With RAG there are many. And then on top of RAG, I'm gonna tell you also there is something called AI agent that using RAG. But we're gonna talk about that after the RAG. RAG basically is retrieval, right? So you have a knowledge base, and then so I usually like to call this RAG is a cheating approach to LLM, because you have a query, right? You have a query from the user, and before you send this query to the LLM, you find something similar to this query. So basically, you find something in your database. Hey, this thing is similar to this. This query is similar to this, and then before you send it to LLM, you enrich your query with this something that you find in the database. People usually call it context, but I call it answer. Basically, your query already have an answer in the database. You just send it to the AI, to the LLM, to be able to talk to you in more like conversational way. That is a simple term. That's how I simplified RAG usually. So basically, you already have a
collection of
collection of
documents.
answers. Yeah, collection of answers depending on your question, and you just need to find the right answer for your question, and you send it to the LLM. That is RAG.
So it's retrieval augmented generation.
Yeah.
And I think of it too, like you have this ChatGPT knows a lot of things, but not your company's things.
Exactly.
So you have to give a big collection of files to ChatGPT to use, so that it knows your company's specific processes.
Because some people usually explain it. LLM is trained on general data.
Right. Yeah.
And then once it's tried to understand something specific, you need to provide this context, this data. So which means RAG goodness or accuracy strongly depend on how it retrieve the information and the abundance of the information that is can answer the retrieve itself, right? The LLM in that particular situation, the function is to be able to make it more conversational, like the generation part of the
because your collection of documents doesn't know how to speak English.
Right.
But ChatGPT speaks English.
That's a really
and
good
it summarizes.
Yeah. So another thing is the RAG function is to reduce the hallucination of this LLM itself,
With
right?
real data.
Real data, because you can within your RAG pipeline you can say only answer based on the context that I provide to you. If there is no context aligned with the question, don't say nothing, because like it or not, I like to call this LLM is people who knows it all. Whether it doesn't know, it will say something. This LLM will say something.
It doesn't admit that it doesn't know.
It doesn't. It will say, oh, I know this. Okay, this is the answer. But it's actually not right. So basically, that's the hallucination part of this LLM. So RAG usually used to be able to contain that effect. But still, it's not 100% right? Because the weakness is going to be in the retrieval. How good is your retrieval? So that's going to be the challenges in the RAG, right? And then when you put it in the database, this information is cut in pieces, like they call it chunking. So they chunk the information into pieces, and then they factorize this chunking because like it or not, this is all numbers, right? So you need to convert the text to some vector, some numbers, and then once it's already converted into a numbers, you do some similarity or semantic kind of calculation. In the simple language, is using cosine or cosine similarity, like the angle of certain two vectors, how similar they are, something like that. So that is RAG. But then you can make RAG even better using something called agent. Yeah, AI agent they call it. So basically, instead of you doing the query, you can tell the agent, hey, I want to get this information. Can you get it from the database? So the agent will do the query for you, and then it will try multiple different query.
So the agent takes the question, looks through all of your documents or databases for anything useful, and then gives it to
to another
ChatGPT or
and
some
then-
other large language
yeah.
model, and then that gives a nice
answer back. Yeah.
English language answer.
Right, right. So this agent is gonna be the future. It is right now already taking over many things, but this AI agent framework is going to be the thing in the next 1 or 2 years. It's gonna be crazy.
And that's what I was going to ask about what you see as the future of AI. And it sounds like you see a big potential for businesses to use these
Yes,
agents.
this AI agent framework is gonna be the thing. It is going to be changing so many things. Like
And
what
it's
I,
like Copilot. When I imagine an agent, would it be like Copilot? Or that you're saying it's for a very specific task?
so basically AI agent is you just need you just need to tell it the goal.
Okay.
Hey, I want to go. For example, hey, I want to go to Rome. On the I want to go to Rome this summer. Can you arrange that? So the agent will find the best time, will find the cheapest flight, will find the thing that you want to do in Rome, and then it will create your itinerary and everything. That's a complex system agent.
Yeah.
And it will, you just need to say your goal. What do you want to do? And then underneath it will do everything for you. And then it will check the weather, and then it will check the news. Hey, what happened in Rome? You should not come in, like, say, in August because something is going on there, some demonstration or something, for example. Or you don't want to be there in that time. So then it will arrange that. It will find out, hey, you should not do this, like, and then you should try this restaurant, for example, because of the Yelp review of this restaurant is the best, for example. It will read all the API that is provided to this agent to be able to provide you the information. I myself has been using it for my own personal research. So I have an AI agent to read archive every morning for me and then summarize that for me. So for example,
Wow.
yeah.
And like news articles, or what is
Yes,
the archive? Okay.
Yeah, so archive, like, for example, hey, can you compile top 15 papers about AI agent in the last 10 days? And then it
Oh.
will give me those
Oh, I see.
10 paper. And then I said, oh, paper number 1 seems to be interesting. Can we talk about paper number 1? And then we discuss about paper number 1.
Oh,
So yeah,
in English language
in
discussion.
English, like, yeah. So I said, can you summarize it in detail, paper number 1? And then okay, and then it will summarize. And then if I try to understand some concept from that, it my agent, my assistant also has the capability to search internet. It will search the internet for anything, the latest and current things about the thing that I'm asking. And if I want, hey, can you download that paper? And it will download it, put it in the folder where I already designated the folder that I want to read the paper for later. So I already been using it for my day-to-day stuff.
That's really good. So we saw recently Apple had an announcement. Their new iPhones are coming out with all the AI assistant.
Yeah.
And so the race is happening for HP and other companies to try to create a better experience for their users. And
yeah.
So would you see that as a reason someone would buy an HP computer instead of a Dell computer?
Yeah.
Because they can have that personal assistant?
Yeah, that's what we are doing with AI PC right now. So basically, we are trying to put some LLM into our devices so it can help the user to do whatever they want. Of course, right now we have limited capability because first of all, the size of the model that we can put in, and then the spec of the hardware that can support this model, right? So I think Apple has the same challenges as well, because I like to have this mental model when I talk about LLM, right? The big model on the cloud is like Einstein in your basement, right? It knows everything, it can answer everything. But the open source model, the small size model, maybe it's like a high school student that maybe knows something but not as good as the one on the cloud, right? So to be able to make it as good as the one in the cloud at certain tasks.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, maybe at certain tasks only, right? It cannot be good at everything, just like the one in the cloud, right? The one in the cloud is like, you can imagine it's like a big brain service
Right.
that floating around in the cloud that everybody can use and ask question, right? but within the device, because of the constraint of the parameter, the number of parameter is like the smaller the model, maybe the less accurate it is. And then so that's why we want to be for the model in the local, we want to be able, this model has to be good at one thing, and then we add that functionality one by one. Slowly we add
Like
that.
skills. You
Yeah,
would say with
skills. Yeah.
Alexa skills.
Yeah.
So when I think of a future of AI, from what you're describing, there's this big brain in the sky.
Yeah.
So this cloud service that has connectors or APIs, something like ChatGPT.
Right.
And then you've got these local things on your doing specific tasks,
Right.
but they're able to connect to that centralized service.
Yes.
And the same thing with this RAG architecture. You've got your collection of customer service tickets and knowledge bases, and then it's going to search all those and then go to the big cloud service for help to deliver the final result.
There is something
so it's
like
this cooperation between local and cloud service.
Yeah. There's very good explanation, because for example, if you are HP user and then you find out something about your computer, right? Hey, is my CPU usage is overloaded? Is it my temperature is overheated or something like that? Am I like normal?
Why is my computer slow?
Yeah, so that is specifically HP knowledge, right? So we can solve that. We can answer that question, which the cloud doesn't know, right?
Yeah,
unless we provide some kind of rack architecture to the cloud, so then it can answer it as well. But that's exactly the problem that we are trying to solve. Like for example, if you're playing game with HP PC, like, hey, how can I speed up my frame per second? How can I increase my frame per second when I play certain games, right? Then we can make that recommendation with the local model, because we know that those things, right? We have that information. You can contain, you can do it in local, one for one specific task, right? So then you can add more LLM, more skill within the same LLM. So this thing will add more and more. Like maybe we can help the user to troubleshoot certain problem within their PC as well, or even with their printer, if you can put it on the printer as well.
Wow, yeah.
So basically that's the idea. So if this thing, because many reason why people want to use LLM locally is security, privacy. They don't want to share their data to the cloud model, for example. They want to do it only within their PC. So they don't want to share their data, something like that. So that's one of the reason why we want to have local generative AI capability.
Oh, I would just love to ask my computer, why are you slow today? Or, my disk is almost full. Get rid of all these programs I haven't used for a long time.
Wow.
And I don't want to spend an hour uninstalling them. Just move them out.
That's a brilliant idea.
I don't know. Just fix yourself here.
Yeah.
So, that's really interesting. Then the other thing would be, why isn't this program installing correctly?
Yeah, step by step installing.
It could help you install.
Yeah, right. And maybe like connecting to your printer from your PC, and then you can automatically connect your HP PC with HP printer, and then without setting the whole time.
That would be nice.
Yeah. So that's the thing, that kind of capability we want to add slowly into the PC. So hopefully by next, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, those are great. Maybe I'll just ask a couple of last questions. One is, have you had any times in your career where, you described your career as like perfectly smooth slope, but were there times when you maybe didn't get the job you wanted, or you've had some setbacks, or?
Yeah, I think before 2022, right, before AI, is basically 2018 was like the peak ML. This is classical ML, right? But then it's kind of going down again. I think around COVID time, like 2019, 2020, 2021, it was like down. And then thanks to OpenAI introducing ChatGPT, everything has become up again. So basically, like working in any normal company, right? There is no like certainty, as you have seen with Google as well. They are taking laying out people, a lot of people, right? So there is no certainty in your career as well, but there is always a if you are I always have this advice for people who just come to industry: get stuff done. Anything that given to you and you can get that thing
Like
done.
deploy or
Yeah, basically
finish your project.
finish project. Some people usually can come up with a very good explanation of problem and why things doesn't work. Some people can have that sophisticated explanation, but at the end of the day, the one that stay, the one that always people usually notice is the one that get things done.
Yeah.
So it's
They-
all
They deliver. Yeah.
it deliver. It's very
Yeah.
important. Anything that assigned to you, no matter how you don't like it, or because I usually say I'm not always happy at my job, right? It's like sometimes you don't know how to answer certain thing, and then you are very frustrated that day. But at the end of the day, after you are able to solve it, oh, that's really good. You don't want to get easy problem that people already solve,
Oh
right?
yeah.
It's not challenging, right? So for me, it's always fun to have hard problem, but also I think having hard problem is the company need to give support to be able for you
Oh, that's
to
true.
give you safety net. For example, if you fail and then you for a creative problem, you need to fail. You have to fail. Otherwise, how can you solve a problem directly, get the solution right away, right? So, but doing hard problem is the one that make me happy at the end of the day, right? So that's at least that's in my experience, and it's true for academia. You don't write paper that people already write, right?
Yeah.
You get a new problem that is hard, and people never done it before, so you want to do that. You want to write paper on that, right? So at least because in physics the same thing. When I was in academia, I want to do something that people not done, so then I can make my name in there. Yeah.
But part of that then is you have to be good at communicating to your manager. We are making some progress.
Right.
Here's the reason that we're not finished.
Yeah.
And here's some of the steps we're going to do next.
Right.
And I think sometimes people forget to give really clear communication of their status.
That's
because
true.
it's difficult to say if you're almost finished. Are you 50% finished or 90% finished is very difficult to judge.
That is very true. That is very true. And that statement is actually you need to understand like end-to-end process of the project, right? So then if you giving that understanding where you are in that end-to-end process and why you cannot get to that finish line. And another thing is that is another thing that is important is to be able to create a POC or a demo, because without something that they can touch, without things that is, if it is only on the slide, it's not real. It's kind of like yeah something like that. So but you need to get it out from the slide to something real, something
yeah.
like they can touch,
A proof of concept.
yeah,
Yeah.
something that they can touch. Write it on some documentation or like a Word document. Have a code, Git repo, have a working demo. That thing is usually very helpful. So with something like that, especially with the AI projects, right? Because a lot of things needed to be able to bring it into production. Like you need a UI team, you need a deployment team, you need a cloud team, and you need you need a QA team. All of these things need to work together to be able to pull this thing off. But if you have a working demo from your side, at least like a Streamlit application demo, so then at least the leadership can see what it look like at the end when this thing deploy in production, something like that. So
yeah, I totally agree. You don't want to take a huge project and spend 5 months in darkness in a cave working on it.
Right.
You need to do very small projects where you can show the value quickly.
Right. Yeah.
And then you grow a little bit, but you don't take on such a giant scope at the beginning.
I agree. Yeah.
Wow. So I think that, the last question was just your advice for students, but I think we've talked about lots of advice. Yeah. Can you try to summarize?
Yeah. Basically, my main advice is get stuff done. Learn to get stuff done. Very, very important. Because at the end of the day, at least when I look of my team member within my AI team, usually, for example, if I want to discuss something, oh, I will discuss with A, because this A guy can get from idea to execution very quick. So as you know, right, don't be afraid to fail. That is how you learn. So I have this quote I forgot from somebody: success is a well managed failure. So
That's
basically,
good.
so you failure that you stuck on top with one another, and you learn from this and you get to the success. So basically, don't afraid to try. And then the most important thing is also read, right? You need to read. As a technical people, what you know today will be expired tomorrow.
So what should they read?
That's a really good
Not
question.
Instagram, not TikTok, which I
So-
think is where most of their time goes. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So my recommendation, I don't know if you know this website. So depending on how technical you are. So if I usually back and forth between Archive and Medium, medium.com.
Oh, I see.
So medium.com is the best place to go first, according to me. If you are not that technical, if you are like very theoretical, technical, you want to understand all the theory behind things, go to Archive, because people write down how they are doing things in terms of theoretical things. But if you want to see code, go to Medium. People usually post their GitHub on how they are doing things, and you want, oh, this is how they are doing it. So I usually go to Medium. I tried what they are saying. Oh, I can make it. Now I want to understand the theory. I go to Archive. Then I read Archive. Oh, okay, this is the theory behind
Interesting.
this thing. And then if you want to go more, then you go. So the good thing about HP is we have a subscription with O'Reilly.
Oh, yeah.
So then you can read books. So you can find books on things, anything that you want. So then usually if I want to have this book, then I go there, read books, because then you can make it you can understand things a little bit better with books, right? Usually books give you a lot of perspective that you don't see in article or paper, right? So like kind of book is like a review of all of those things. So usually I don't jump to the books right away. Of learning new things, I look at, oh, people doing it this way. So I try if I can do it. If I can do it, then I go to the theory. Now I understand the theory now. Because once you understand the theory, basically you can make it bigger. So you
yeah.
can
You're
make
not just copying something on Medium.
Yeah, you can apply and put things there and make it bigger. That's why usually after I understand this, I go to the theory. Oh, if I can do this more, then I make something more. And then if I want to be like, I go to the books if I want to be more like knowledgeable about it. So
broad knowledge.
broaden the knowledge. So that's my step usually. And Medium
That's
is
really good. Yeah.
very cheap. It's like only $50 per year, 52 something like that, and you can read unlimited article.
Yeah, and I would encourage also to subscribe on Medium, because sometimes you're too lazy to go search Medium, but if it pushes good content to you, people that you're interested in following, then it is more natural to just read it when
exactly.
arrives. So.
Medium is like reading newspaper for me in the morning.
Oh, okay.
So before I start my work, I'm
you
like,
subscribe to some people you follow.
I follow some good people on Medium. I have like following more than hundreds of them.
Wow.
So
okay.
So then I just like, oh, they're writing this, they're writing that. So
Jake, that's a great tip.
Yeah.
To keep learning.
Keep learning. You'd never be, I cannot say this word, complacent?
Complacent.
Yes, that one. Never be that. Especially in the AI world. If you are not reading or learning, you're gonna be automated. Be the one that automating your job, not be the one, not be the one that being automated. So you don't want to be caught surprised in your job. You should be the one that, hey, I should automate this dashboard reading. I can create an AI model on top of it, and then your boss will be very happy with that. So
that's all right.
Yeah.
Like I would say, be the one who builds the robot, not the one who gets replaced by the robot.
Exactly. That's this time is really crucial to be the one that building the robot instead of being the one that being replaced by the robot. So So
Well-
don't get caught surprise.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Anton. That's
Thank
been
you
really
so much,
interesting.
yeah.
And we'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.